Whoa, Mercury is taking us for a little bit of a spin this week. We've got a sextile to Uranus, a trine to Neptune, an opposition to Pluto, and then, ta-da, Mercury enters Leo. Coming off of this serious Capricorn full moon, we've got Mercury in Cancer, which is making the rounds and getting busy. So first on July 7th, we've got Mercury coming into a sextile with Uranus. And this little sextile is kind of a special one because they are both in the terms of Jupiter. So we've got this little energetic spark that is going to provide a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of upliftment. So we're getting a little bit more of that Jupiter juice that we enjoyed with that, well, practical Capricorn full moon, which is kind of encouraging and showing us how far we've come and giving us the push, like, you got this, you're doing it. So here we get a little bit more of this spark. Mercury, Uranus, this is sort of like a Red Bull for our mind. You know, Mercury is communication, it's technology, it's the mind. So everything is moving a little bit faster with this Uranian sextile here. There's something encouraging. There's something about Jupiter that is offering some sort of inspiration, maybe. Maybe that little spark is giving us an idea. Maybe that spark is giving us like a different perspective or showing us how to look at something in a slightly different way that makes it more fun or interesting or liberating. Again, this is a sextile, so this isn't like a life-changing aspect by any means, but there is something about it that adds this little bit of effervescence from Jupiter. Moving on to the 9th, we've got July 9th, we've got Mercury coming into a trine with Neptune. Again, kind of coming off of that inspirational sextile from Uranus, we've got creativity. Mercury in a trine with Neptune is all the time creativity, especially in this water trine here. We've got some creativity, imagination. Again, imagination isn't just having an artistic talent and being able to translate something onto a canvas in a creative, beautiful way. Creativity is being able to look at something that you look at every single day and say, what if we imagined it a little bit different? What if we, made it more colorful? Or what if we completely reimagined this thing that is like, I don't know, like just the way people are able to look at a room and completely redo it, and other people would have never thought of that. I mean, that's creativity. Or being able to design your life, like your schedule, and say, how could we make this, how could we rearrange these pieces in a different way? That's creativity there. So yes, Mercury in a trine to Neptune can help us reimagine something in our world. The other thing that it can do is it can be very compassionate. Remember what I said in the Mercury in Cancer video about how great of a listener Mercury in Cancer is and how receptive it is and the emotional intelligence quality. So with this Neptune kind of opening those Cancerian walls that are sometimes there, depending on who you are to that Cancerian person, or in this case, just generally speaking, that Neptune can help us open those walls up a little bit, open our hearts, open those doors of perception, open those doors of communication. I feel like this is one of those aspects that would help you kind of have like one of those heart-to-hearts in a bar bathroom, or even just like a heart-to-heart in like an interaction in a parking lot, or like, just something just sort of in the wild. Mercury in a trine to Neptune opens that heart-to-heart connection, the possibilities for it. And I feel like it would also be like one of those situations where, you're really able to kind of like be a mutual ear to listen to with a friend, because Cancer is just like really caring, really good at holding space. And with Neptune, there's something about like just opening up. And the trine, it's a flowing energy. So it's one of those things where like you actually release a hormone when you cry that makes you feel better. So I feel like that is a good analogy for this Mercury trine Neptune of how can feel good to let it out, how can feel good to just talk about how we've been feeling, whether it's been, a struggle out there or whether it's been objectively like beautiful, it's one of those heart to heart moments. And both of them are in the terms of Saturn. So there's something concrete about it. It's not entirely this out there Mercury Neptune fantasy. There's something about it that is grounded in reality, has a useful application here. Finally, on the 10th of July, Mercury is going to come into kind of a crunchy opposition with Pluto. This one's a little ouchy because this is happening at 29 degrees. Let's take a look. Okay, so right here you can see Mercury is at 29 degrees Cancer, opposite Pluto at 29 degrees Capricorn. 29 degrees is known as the anaretic degree. There's an urgency associated with this degree. So there's something that feels like a calamity or some sort of like emergency, or there's something where we feel like we got to act now going on here. So this could really be, I think, like in our personal lives, this could be some sort of obsession kind of sinking in. Mercury opposite Pluto tends to get some tunnel vision. We could look at this and say maybe there's some emotional flooding going on. That's a word or a concept I've been familiarizing myself with toddlers, but it happens to adults too, where you get overwhelmed by an emotion and you can't think straight. So that could be something we could very well be experiencing, maybe seeing it on the world stage somehow, or experiencing it in our own lives, or seeing it like out in the wild, just like kind of out running errands. So be prepared, because this is kind of like an emotional drama going on here. Sometimes Pluto is a big uprooting of an emotional release or something kind of coming back from the past, Cancer, out of the closet, Pluto. Something is coming back out to kind of spook us a little bit, haunt us a little bit, remind us there's some kind of like triggering happening that's causing this emotional distress, maybe. But it can also be like, as I was saying, like tunnel vision, like becoming very obsessive with something, like sign relationship aside, like Mercury opposite Pluto is tunnel vision. There's some sort of obsession, something that maybe it's study, maybe there's something where you're like, I need to get to the bottom of this. I need to find out. I think I had under one of these Mercury opposite Pluto. It was during Cancer season. I had like something opposite Pluto was going on, and I got on this like obsessive, I need to know the history of my house. And I like did this epic research, and I like found out like all the owners of my house like for the last 100 plus years, and it was really cool. But it was just like this obsession that gripped me for a couple days, and that really feels like Mercury and Cancer opposite Pluto of like, I need to know. So if you are interested in doing some genealogy digging or doing some research for your family tree, I think that would be a really fun aspect. And then look forward to when the sun comes into an opposition with Pluto. So the energy's there if you want to do some historical research, especially connected to like your lineage or your home. That could be very useful energy for that. Because it's cardinal. It's like, let's start this project. Let's get moving on that. So that could be really good for that. But there's also just this sense of urgency. And I think of Pluto in Capricorn, especially at 29 degrees, it really speaks to me as like late stage capitalism and some of the woes that we encounter. How do we care for one another? How do we care for ourselves in a broken system? This aspect really seems to kind of speak to that thread. But then, the good news is that after Mercury moves through this opposition with Pluto, this thunderstorm with Pluto, moves into Leo, fire sign. And when Mercury gets into Leo, a lot of that emotional drama is going to lift, and the energy is going to get a lot lighter. Conversation is going to get a lot lighter. Conversation is going to get a lot more energized, moving from a mute water sign, something, a place where Mercury tends to be a little bit more reflective and introspective, into this dynamic fire sign. So conversation is going to become more energized. People are going to be more outspoken. People are going to be more liberal with sharing about themselves. Leo is the sign. When Mercury moves through Leo, you're going to learn something new about everyone. Everyone you encounter on a regular basis, you're going to learn something new about them, because Mercury in Leo just inspires us to speak up. It inspires us to share where we're coming from. You know, we all love our Leo friends who are on a regular basis very liberal with sharing about their personal experiences and where they come from and what's on their mind. But you're going to get that a little bit more from everyone. So the people who typically don't open up, the people who typically don't share as much, you might hear some new little factoids about these friends. So anyways, Mercury in Leo is here to sort of like energize and uplift and animate everyone into like sort of a brighter sharing space. It's going to be a lot more dynamic and expressive there with Leo, a lot more passionate. You know, Mercury in Leo is going to speak with heart. Mercury in Leo is going to speak with conviction. But there is a little bit of containment. You know, it's a fixed sign, so there is a little bit of reserve with Leo too. But nonetheless, there is that thread of being able to communicate about ourselves. So it's a lot more fun. It's a lot more sharing kind of energy. So yeah, get ready for Mercury in Leo. That's going to be from July 11th through July 28th. So I hope that's enjoyable for you as well. And that was your very mercurial catch-all astrology shot of the day, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. Timing with Transits, my 11-week mentorship in predictive technique begins on September 21st. We're covering transits, we're covering perfections. We've got a blend of live and pre-recorded tutorials and ongoing support throughout the program. So if you want more information on that, or you want to snag that early bird rate, head to my website, katherineurban.com.